Welcome back to the Purpose Producer Podcast. I'm your host, Georgia Dawkins, and this is season 4 of the Purpose Producer. This is one of my favorite seasons because this season we're focusing on Black boy joy. And so my guest today, I'm running him back from season 3. Okay, y'all loved him so much. I had to bring him back to talk more about his spiritual journey and how he cultivates joy. So please welcome back to the Purpose Producer Podcast, Mr. Keith Terrell.
Georgia Dawkins, what's going on, sis?
Keithress, Elba, how you been?
I'm good. First of all,
World traveler.
I'm just out here living, but I got to give it up to you. Season 4, that's major. Proud of you. I've been watching the journey. You've been staying consistent. So, yeah, season 4, more to come.
And I'm going to throw the shout out back to you because you were definitely one of the first people to support me when I said I had a vision. We just met 2019 when the show, right before the show launched. So we were ending our test run. And then I was like, I got to do something for me. So thank you for being a supporter from day one. All right, Keith, let's talk about it. How does Keith Terrell cultivate joy?
That's an interesting question. I was actually just talking to a friend about this yesterday. So I only actually felt joy like 2 times in my life. So the first time was back in my church days. So this had to be circa like 2005. And I remember where I was at. I was in church, had my dream girl next to me, light-skinned John with the green eyes. And like, that was the first time I ever remember feeling joy, which had to be like mid to late 20s at the time. So fast forward, I went to Costa Rica in May for an ayahuasca retreat. And basically we were doing yoga at the end of the retreat, and I had this feeling and I didn't know what it was. And it was just like, that's interesting. So I kind of just made a note of it. And it was later on before I was leaving that it hit me like, oh, that's joy. And I never really, I've only felt that one other time, which it was attached to a person. So this was like the first time I felt joy just for the sake of feeling joy. So how I cultivate that is just continuing the practices that I learned out in Costa Rica and now Peru.
Well, I want to go back. I want to go back to actually defining joy because I also grew up in church. I also have been high in the spirit. Okay. High in the spirit and felt the love of God just overwhelm me, fill me up from head to toe. We used to do this prayer, God, fill this room. God, saturate us in your spirit. And that is when, I can remember, feeling joy, like you said, for the first time. But I'm curious that, as a Black man in America from South Central California, how do you define joy? How did you know like what that was? Is that something that you were ever seeking?
I wasn't seeking because I didn't really know what it was. So it's just something that like, it was a benefit of the work that I was doing on myself. So how do I define joy? That's a good question. How do you define joy?
Don't throw it back on me, Keith. It's not your show. This is not your show. Now I asked you. I can help you out a little bit. I'll give you some cheat codes. I don't know, because I'm also on the spiritual journey as well. And what I thought was joy and happiness 10, 15, 20 years ago is not that. So I think the joy that I'm experiencing right now is in healing. That I'm not there and that my mentality has evolved. But joy for me is this thing that it's rare. It's so rare that when it comes through, I want to bottle it up. That's joy for me.
I feel that. So I guess that's how I felt back in the church days, that it was rare and something that I had to bottle up because I only felt it one time in life. Now I would say it's just like a annoying, like that's my everyday like feeling. So I guess I would define it as like inner peace, happiness, and like a for sure connection to the universe, creator, God, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure if I sat down and thought about it, I can come up with something more poignant, but
yeah, you're a good writer. He's a writer, ladies and gentlemen. But no, let me actually let's sit in this for a moment, because a lot of people feel like the absence of joy is sadness or depression or a very, I guess, minimal life, unfulfilled life. Do you feel like that's been your experience?
No, it's nothing. I wouldn't even use the word unfulfilled about any aspect of my life. And you can still have joy and still feel moments of sadness and moments of depression and all of these things, but it's still an inner joy knowing that it's just temporary, and it's only whatever I'm going through is only here for me to learn something, and it's not going to stay the same. So there'll be brighter days, brighter moments. I just editing the last episode of my show for season 2, plug Young Black and Vegan. I had a hard drive crash not once, 2 times after I got like 80% done with the edit. So you think I was happy or feeling joyous in that moment when I had to start over again 3 times in a row? No, but I mean, it's a first world problem, and I recognize it's temporary, and I look at the bigger picture. So I think you can lose joy when you're not looking at the bigger picture, because it's easy to get like stuck in whatever that moment is. But you find joy and peace with being present in whatever that moment is, because that moment is happening for a reason. It might not make sense today, it might not make sense tomorrow, but it's for you to learn something in order for you to grow.
That's good, Keith. That'll preach. That'll keep them, all right? That's going to save one. But I guess I'm a little shocked that you've only felt joy or remembered feeling joy twice in your life, because you're such a positive person. Like, it's really annoying. Like, whenever I'm going through something, you're like, yeah, this is happening for a reason. I'm like, hey, shut up. Like, that's not what I want to hear right now. But yeah. I need you. I need friends to be up on, a higher vibration than I am. But in the moment, I'm like, nah, because all I feel is what's happening right now. And I have a lot of feelings, I'll admit. But, you're always reminding me to stay present. So, like, how is it that someone who's always so positive and seemingly happy, only feels joy twice?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm definitely happy. And the second feeling of joy is kind of like ongoing. So that hasn't stopped. And I think I know it's just based off of where I've been and what I've been through. So I've been through so much. For me, all of these years are bonus years. Like, I never expected to even be 18. So, when
you didn't expect to be 18?
Yeah, where I come from, like, a lot of people get killed. I know well over 30 something, 40 something people have been killed. So that easily could have been my story as well. So for me, like, again, these are bonus. I never expected this. And it's also coming to the realization of not taking life so serious. Like, you got to remember to have fun. So for me, I'm just creating everything I want to create, doing everything I want to do. And we all got to check out sometimes. So I reconcile, like, the fact that I do have to pass away at some point. That said, like, all right, that's going to happen. Whatever's going to happen, I'm about to do everything I want to do. And so, yeah, that's just one of the ways that I maintain, like, happiness, is being able to experience things that I dreamed about or that I want to create, and, just pressing forward.
Man, all right. You've been very transparent on social media about your spiritual journey, your experiences with ayahuasca, and I love it. I love hearing about the ways that you are drawing near to God. And I remember that in Will Smith's book last year, he talks about doing ayahuasca 7 times, and I'm like, bruh, this dude is not well, because why would you do that to yourself? So let's jump into your journey to Costa Rica to do ayahuasca for the first time. What was going on in life where you said, I need this experience?
So this was, I think, 2 years ago now, maybe. I was just basically in, like, the darkest place of my life. My best friend, Hud, had just died. I had 2 mentors die that year. My old pastor, a college professor that really, like, kind of instilled the love of reading into me The year before that, another one of my good friends got killed by the police, Kurt. It was on TMZ, so the video was spreading, and I got to like actually see my friend like get killed. And then the year before that, like my mentor that gave me my start in the industry had died. So that's like 5 significant relationships of people that died, as well as like serious relationships coming to an end. So it was just all of these things going on in life. And I was sharing it with a executive producer friend of mine, Catherine, and she just told me about this place in Costa Rica, told me to check it out. And so I looked into it and just made a mental note. And then a year later, I ended up going to this place, and best decision I've ever made in my life.
All right. So let's talk about the journey there. Okay. So what did you do to prepare your body, your mind, your spirit for the medicine? And we're going to get into what the medicine is in a second.
So they send you like a whole list of things to do. The only thing that I really have to do is like, I'm already vegan. And so you change your diet a few weeks before you go. And so it was just certain things that I pulled out of what I eat already. So it wasn't really a drastic change for me. Other than that, it wasn't any serious preparation except for, getting passports ready and things like that.
Okay. Okay. So what is actually in the medicine, and how did you take it?
So what is in the medicine? Ayahuasca is made from like 2 different trees or leaves in the Amazon. And so it contains dimethyltryptamine, which is DMT, which is like the psychoactive ingredient. And there's another ingredient that they add, which is, I believe it's called an MAO inhibitor, because without that, the DMT wouldn't like actually get in your system for you to experience it. And what was the second part of that question?
I was going to say, how did you take it? But honestly, I want to, kind of talk about the medicine a little bit more and let people know who are listening to actually like do your research, because you did research. You read books. You were watching the video.
I did research after the fact. So
okay.
For me, I was just like, when I say I was at the darkest place that I've ever been in my life, it was just like either that or another alternative that we're not going to talk about. But it was basically like a last ditch effort. Like, all right, I got to do something. And so, yeah, that's what I did. And to answer your question, like how you take it, they make it into a tea and you basically drink it. It's in like a little shot glass, like this big.
And so how many shots of the ayahuasca do you take? And then how did you know it was kicking in?
How many did I take? So everybody starts off with 1 cup. And depending on where you go, they might invite you down for a second cup, or it's up to you to like go for more cups. So I went ham that first day. There was a guy named Johnny who worked at the place that I went to and was kind of like teaching us about it. And so when it was time to go to ceremony, he just came up to me. He said, "Keith, take as many cups as you can." So I literally took like 6 or 7 cups that first night, which is crazy.
Is that normal? I was like, well, yeah,
no,
which is crazy.
I think so. Every other night I did maybe 2 to 3 cups. So 6 to 7 was a lot. I literally like crawled down for another cup at times. But I mean, I was that invested. Like, I'm just an all in or not at all type of person. And so like I went all in, and I believe that's part of the reason why my experience was what it was.
Man, this is crazy. Because I'm thinking about how ayahuasca trips have been portrayed in media.
Well, it's not a trip, though.
It's not a trip. What is it called?
So it's a journey. You'll trip off of drugs. Ayahuasca is not a drug.
It's a journey.
So yeah, it's basically like a spiritual journey.
But then going back to media, they portray it as a trip.
Right.
They don't say it's a journey. It's always for entertainment purposes. It's very rarely a spiritual journey. But physically, there's always somebody throwing up or sometimes pooping.
Well, yeah, you purge, and the people who like talk about it, like, you have to ask yourself, have they actually done it, or are they just like looking from the outside in? In America and probably abroad, a lot of what we've been taught, the opposite is actually true. So there's a negative connotation with just psychedelics in general. I haven't done any other psychedelics. But I mean, if you do your research, you will see that spirituality started off of psychedelics for the most part, a lot of different religions and all of that. But people don't know that because that's not what they teach, you know?
Okay, so you go all in.
Yes.
What is that initial experience like? Where did you go on your journey?
So you drink the cup of ayahuasca and then you basically lay down on your mat, which that's the place that I went to. There were like beds all around the what they call the Maloca. So I took the journey in Costa Rica with like 52 other people. So it was a lot of us. And so you lay down and close your eyes and you basically breathe. And you will know when it kicks in because I don't know how to explain it. It's just you're going to know. Like you're going to feel it. Your experience is going to start to change. And it'll be undeniable that the medicine is starting to kick in. And if it's not kicking in, then that's when you can get up and go drink another cup.
So, like, you have no sense of time at that point either, but
No.
you did have a visual experience, or where do you go on this journey? Like,
Well, it's different for everybody. I think part of it is, and this kind of goes back to what you asked me, how did I prepare? I think it's who the person is that's going to commune with the medicine. Because like my friend Blue corrected me, you're not going to take the medicine. Like you're basically going to like have this relationship with the medicine, and it's there to basically help you to unlock some things that have been buried in the subconscious that you might not even realize is there. But like the medicine is love. So at the end of the day, like if you go in knowing that, okay, this is love, and it goes back to what I was saying about just like life in general and moments. This is love. This is happening for a reason, and I'll be better on the other side. And so that was pretty much like my experience. And to go back, what you experience, like you can have visuals of, you know, past lives. You can have visuals of like you in the present moment. For me, in Costa Rica and Peru were two different experiences. In Costa Rica, it was more so things that actually happened in my life that I forgot happened. So it took me back to childhood. And for me, that was like the medicine will give you what you need. I needed healing. That was a extremely healing journey. And so that was my experience in Costa Rica.
now, didn't you also share with me that you went so far back in your childhood that you saw yourself in a crib?
Nah, not a crib. Not quite. I mean, I was probably like 3 years old. So I saw myself basically bawling my eyes out, crying to my mom, and she had her back to me, so she wouldn't acknowledge me. So I was able to go grab 3-year-old me, say, "Come here, man. Like, I love you," and basically like heal that part of me. And then like I had always had this wall up with my mom since a kid. The medicine flipped it and turned her around. Like she was still like laying down on her side, and it just asked me, "Yo, who's loving your mom?" And I was like, "Oh, damn, that's a bar." So I was able to basically like look at it from a different perspective without, you know, the ego or feeling or hurt attached to it. And, you know, basically leaving Costa Rica. And in that moment, like the relationship with my mom was healed. Like, and I'm talking a wall that has been up for like forever. So that was my experience and why I like talk about it, just because it was such a powerful and like just beautiful experience.
Man, this is amazing. I mean, I won't share too much right now because that's probably going to be another episode. But I've definitely done some psychedelics or plant-based medicine, and my most recent experience was very similar. You know, it's not ayahuasca, but I was able to, in my journey, talk to my younger self and tell her the things that she needed to hear then, and it also helped me with acceptance, like of parents and, you know, upbringing and, you know, the things that happened to me. But it's something really special about being able to give a child what they need, even if that child is you. So what did that experience in Costa Rica specifically, what did going back through childhood do for you? What did that awaken in you?
Like I said, it was healing. So one of the things the medicine told me is to be more compassionate, right? So that wall that was up with my mom, that was gone. I healed the child that, like you just said, wasn't getting what he needed and basically had to grow up way too fast. And so, like, I can just sum up everything that I got in that trip to healing.
That's good. That's good. So did you have any other significant experiences in the subsequent nights that you want to share from Costa Rica?
I mean, that was one of the major things. And it was all about healing. Like I told you, I had come out of some relationships that didn't work out. So, you know, it was healing there. It was just basically a mending back of like my heart, that it was broken in so many pieces from all of these different places. So I walked out of that like feeling whole. We all are whole, but we may not feel that way. So, you know, I walked away with joy, forgiveness, and healing from that trip.
Man, look, I wish I could go back in time and interview you then, because we met for coffee as soon as you came back. Well,
Yeah.
T, you was very clean. You were glowing. Like you was like,
Yeah,
you were
I
like
forgot about that. We did
walking on air. Like it was kind of amazing to experience. And I was like, this is not the same Keith that
Right.
went to Costa Rica. And it, you know, it's not supposed to be, but it was just so beautiful to see like you like beaming with just joy and this just radiant. So thank you for sharing that with me then. But y'all had to be there. Okay. If you can go back to his social media, try to pull up some of the videos from when he first came back, because it was amazing to see. Now, a lot of people who might be thinking about this type of journey might be thinking that, hey, it costs money to go to Costa Rica. It costs money to get the medicine and I can't afford it. So what would you say to someone who's financially preparing for this journey?
Well, some places offer scholarships, so you can apply for scholarships. You can save up. When it comes to your mental and emotional health and doing something for yourself, there's really not a price that you can put on it. So it's not too expensive in comparison to like the life you can have afterwards. But I will also say, do your research. I didn't research before I went. I researched after, but there are a lot of documentaries you can watch. There's books you can read and just get an understanding. But most of all, I would say like work on yourself, because like already start that process of healing by doing that initially, and then go and do the medicine if it's right for you, because, you know, it's not right for everybody, but, you know, it could be.
Right. Wow. So how much time was it between Costa Rica and Peru, and what led to the journey in Peru?
I think it was about 6 months or so. And yeah, so Peru wasn't an ayahuasca journey. It was actually a retreat called Warrior Retreats that my boy Brennan started, and I went on that. Ayahuasca was something that was offered in the beginning, so I did it. I did one journey in Peru, which was markedly different from my experience in Costa Rica, but it literally, the experience I had, like I won't go into depth of what happened, but it literally changed my walk and also like my vision. So like I'm back seeing the world with new eyes. So it's an incredible experience.
What? New eyes? Like
New, like,
it's just,
like new eyes.
Yeah. It's just amazing to know that for people who desire this journey, that there is something out there for them where it's not this microwave fix. You know, it's a journey, and it doesn't end, you know, at the actual medicine.
No, I mean, it's still a journey, because it's similar to church. You know, you can go to church and get that spiritual high. You can do the medicine and like everything seems like heaven. But when you get back home, like, and while you're out there, it's all theory. When you get home is when it gets real and gets tested. And we get tested through relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or just friendships. And you will see like, oh, like I still got to work on this. I'm not perfect. I mean, it's easy to point the finger because you're not always the one that is the culprit of something. But, you know, instead of like, oh, this person needs to work on this, it's really like everything that's happening is for you to learn something more about yourself.
Man, it seems like, because I was following your social media journey, you were tested immediately in Peru. Like there was a whole political uprising during
Yeah.
your retreat. So talk to us a little bit about what happened and how you were still able to hold on to this experience.
Yeah. I mean, so the experience in Peru at the end of the trip, basically the president was arrested and put in jail. And so the people rose up. They shut down the roads. They shut down the airport. So all flights were canceled. And I basically got stuck there for an extra week. At the time, we were in Cusco, which is where the airport is. Me and my friend Brandon, who started the retreat, we wanted to go back to Samadhi, which was like the last leg of the trip, and just this beautiful resort that sits surrounded by 360 degrees of mountains. So it was like, we want to get back to the peace. And so we jumped in a car at 5:30 in the morning to make it to the Sacred Valley. We drove like 30 minutes. The dude that was driving, it was like he played Mario Kart because he was swerving around all of the barricades in the road. And so from where we were, like basically every road in Peru had protesters and they had blockages. So trees, barbed wire, fires, tires, all of this stuff we have to maneuver around. So we drove for like 30 minutes. We ended up getting stopped by a man on the side of the road. And he was like, talked to the driver in Spanish. We found out there was a barricade ahead and we weren't going to be able to drive through. So we drove up a little bit. We saw the barricade. We stopped. We got out the car to talk. And while we're talking, the people are coming towards us. They're grabbing rocks. They're grabbing sticks and weapons, and they're getting closer. So we're like, all right, let's get back in the car. So that happened like 2 times, and they just kept getting closer to us. So we drove to where they couldn't see us. A motorcycle pulled up. We were talking to the guy. Like, we basically were out of options. So we said, hey, can you find somebody else with a motorcycle and we can get on with you guys? So he left, came back. He said, yeah, I found somebody, but you guys got to walk through the crowd and then get on the bikes. And so my boy looked at me like, what you want to do? I'm like, shit, I'm down for whatever. So I put on my big travel bag. He had my camera bag, and then I had a poncho on. So I grabbed my travel tripod under the poncho just in case. So we had to walk through the same crowd of people that just chased us. And it was like a movie. It was like smoke and fog. It was like some Hollywood stuff. But when we got to like the line of people and walked through, it was actually like the most beautiful thing that either of us have ever seen or experienced. It was just a bunch of like older people standing in solidarity for their cause, and it was aunts, grandmothers, uncles, fathers, all of that. It wasn't really young people out there. And so we walked through, it was like, yo, respect. Got to the other side, hopped on the motorcycles and rode. Long story short, we both crashed. Our drivers crashed the motorcycles. And so messed up my legs, and we ended up having to walk like 5 or 6 hours after that to actually make it to where we were going.
And at this time, your leg is wrapped or bleeding, or
no, yeah, it's bleeding. Like it's nothing I have. Basically, we just thugging it out because that's the only way we can make it to where we need to go is on foot. Like nobody would give us a ride. The farmers wouldn't give us a ride, and yeah, that's what happened.
that's amazing. Like you're talking about this, like it was just another day, in Peru.
I mean,
but like this is huge.
Yeah, like I was never worried for 1 minute. Like I grew up in South Central, so where they have guns. These people had like rocks and sticks and everything. Not saying you can't get your beat with some rocks and sticks, but the people, like I'm for the people. The people weren't messing with us. They were just attacking like cars and vehicles because like that's what they were fighting for. And so, they let us through, and it was love.
Man, this is wild. But I don't know if I should give a shout out to South Central or a shout out to ayahuasca. But to be able to go through that and still you came back with so much joy. Like you were stuck in Peru. You could not get back.
I could think of worse places to be stuck. So, I mean, where I was stuck was actually just a peaceful, serene place. 3 home-cooked meals every day, some of the best vegan food. So it wasn't a bad place to be stuck,
Yeah, you took some beautiful pictures. You captured some beautiful images on this journey, and you made a lot of new friendships. So, tell us a little bit about the importance of building those relationships with the people you were on that spiritual retreat with.
Hmm. I think that anytime you're on a journey in life, and you're growing, that is inevitably going to cause some relationships to fall away if they're not growing as well. And so, like, as you raise your frequency, you're gonna attract other people on higher frequencies and commune with them. And so I think that the people that I met in Peru are now family. Like, we bonded so much in 3 weeks, and like everybody there was handpicked by Brandon and his team. And so you had like 20 some odd individuals who are all powerful, all leaders in their world, and all like operating from a place of love. So, for me, it was basically the new family for this next chapter of my life.
Man, congratulations. And, I'm so glad you got back safely. I'm excited about this Keith, every Keith, but this Keith, this is the new and improved Keith Terrell,
Yeah, this is
bringing us
Teacher's Elba 2.0.
Keith's Elba 2.0, bringing us season 2 of Young, Black, and Vegan. What can we expect from this season?
You can expect great conversations, great food, and some exciting guests. Like, I'm excited about this season. The conversations that I've already had so far have all been just elevated. And like, my whole purpose and reason for doing it is to provide value for the viewers. So you're going to get just a lot of free nuggets and game that if you apply it, it can help your life.
You guys have to go back to season 3 of The Purpose Producer and listen to Keith's original interview about why he started Young, Black, and Vegan. So talk to us a little bit about the relationship that inspired you to, cultivate these conversations.
Yeah, so it was always an idea since I went vegan. The relationship that basically keeps me doing it, and the passion behind it, is my best friend, Dominique Hudson. He died a couple of years ago, same age as me, from a heart condition. And so, for me, that has been the catalyst to continue doing this show. It's self-funded. Like, I pretty much do everything myself because I'm passionate about it. And like, I realized that one of the things that shouldn't be taking us out as a people is what we put in our bodies. So it's just basically providing information and knowledge, and you can pick what works for you. You can leave what doesn't, but hopefully it's something that can help you just to have a better time down here on this thing called Earth.
Man, look, not to name drop, but to name drop, you've had some amazing guests, from people you maybe have never heard of to people we see on our social media feeds every day. So what was it like to interview Miss Tabitha Brown?
That was great. Like, I met Tabitha like before she blew up with the vegan scene. We worked on a film together, and it was just one of those connections of instant love, good energy, good vibes. We laughing, cracking jokes on set, and so it was just like sitting down with a family member, my sister, and having a good time, eating some good food.
And so, remind me again, how long have you been vegan?
I lost count, but I think it's like 8 years now.
How has your life changed based on what you're putting into your body now?
It's more so like preventative. Like, I notice things that don't happen. Like, I don't get sick. My energy, stamina, all of that is amazing. People say that I'm aging backwards. But I think that because I went vegan, it has kind of like led to all of these other things that's happening in my life, like ayahuasca and these different retreats. And so I think energetically, I attract good energy to myself because that's what I put in my body and that's what I put out into the world, or at least attempt to,
Man, I appreciate you for all the good stuff you're putting out. I'm in the audience. I'm one of your biggest fans. Anything that you would like to say to the people who are considering a spiritual journey like ayahuasca or, a warrior retreat?
Yeah, just, do it. At the end of the day, like, face every fear, do all of the things. Like, why wouldn't you do something? Like, we have this fear of like dying, and it's going to happen. So, not saying you should be reckless and jump out of an airplane with no parachute, but like, most of the things that we fear never happen. So I would just say, do all of the things. If you want to go on a retreat, like Warrior Retreat, then apply for it. If you want to do ayahuasca, then do your research, make sure that it's right for you, and like, do it. But you got to do the work though.